So, Mikey,
Good morning.
good morning. Tell
Good
us
morning.
about puppets. First of all, how many people, if I should have put this in the poll. If you could put in the chat, how many people have already found the Puppet app? It's not like I kept it a secret. We just didn't officially launch it. Love to know. Um, Found not used yet. Found it. Yes, yes. Saw it. Have used it several times. Okay, good. So this is great. What I find is that even people who have found it and they haven't sort of been led through it, there's always something that you didn't catch about it, even though we've tried to make them as simple as possible. And Mikey, that's what you're here as a integral part of helping me stay just a little sane during this time and also developing the Puppet app. So I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and everything in between to everyone. It's so wonderful to join one of the calls. I've been behind the scenes for a while here and recognize so many names and faces. So thank you for having me. So as Karen mentioned, I was the project manager and sort of led the initiative on formulating how we translate, traditional in-person puppet work to an online application. We based a lot of this off of the online Sandtray to sort of make the tool familiar as much as possible, but realizing that the two interventions are very different and therefore the applications are going to be a little bit different. The interaction is going to be a little bit different. On a personal note, this was really, really fun for me. I've known Karen for many, many, many years outside of her therapy work and been to her office many times. And for years saw a giant basket full of puppets and just thought, oh, that's cute. Now I actually got to understand the application, what they're for, had a very, very sort of intimate understanding of each and every one of these puppets. So we've we've launched with about a dozen puppets right now. We have another dozen or so in the works that we're hoping to add to the application in the next couple of weeks. And just like the Sandtray and some of the other tools, we hope to continue to sort of add them. But the puppets are a little bit, they have a life of their own, no pun intended, in working with trying to photograph them, get them ready for the application. So it's presented its own challenges, but also been a lot of fun as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a walkthrough here, just a moment. Okay. So onlinepuppets.org is the website, and this is live and available, as many of you have already kind of learned and found the site. Again, as you can see, we tried to make the layout sort of similar to the online Sandtray and the online Dollhouse, but had to sort of recognize, again, things are going to be a little bit different. So just a general sort of breakdown of the layout here. We have the main stage, the action buttons that I'll go through in a little bit. The same save, clear, and then a new tool, full screen. The puppet selector is here in the sidebar, so you can scroll up and down to see all the puppets we've included so far. And as I mentioned, we'll be adding more very, very soon. And then one thing that's a little bit different and fun here is you can actually choose different backgrounds. And this really allows your clients to sort of have a bit more imagination in where they want to project using the puppets. We tried to make these fun, colorful, and sort of engaging backgrounds. And again, as we get requests, we can always add additional backgrounds as well, similar to adding additional puppets. So to get started, you'll click on a puppet, and it's going to go ahead and place it on the screen. Just like the Sandtray, you can resize the puppet, drag it around, move it wherever you would like on the stage in this instant. As you see, when the puppet is actually selected, all of these toolbar icons up here, the actions, now become active. So I'm going to put Mr. Frog or Mrs. Frog, the frog, front and center here. So the first action we have is hug. Puppet gives a little bit of a hug. Speak. Frog likes to talk a little. Hit for any sort of aggressive actions the client wants to share. And last, jump. Again, similar to the Sandtray, you can copy and duplicate the frog. You can delete it. Once it's selected, you can flip. And this flip action is going to be really, really important to sort of understand. So by default, to make things consistent, all of the puppets do their primary actions to our right, the puppet's left. So as you can see, as the frog hugs, he leans towards the right of the screen as we're looking at it. As we hit, also to the right. By flipping it and adding additional puppets, this now allows the two to sort of interact towards each other. And you can actually animate. I'm going to make the dragon a little bit bigger here and put them both front and center. And you can actually animate them together by either dragging across and selecting, and you can now see they're both selected, or using the select all button, which will select them as well. Now, any of the animations for any or all of the puppets that you have selected will work in tandem. So these two are good friends. They're going to give each other a hug. And it's been a while since they've seen each other. They've been in quarantine. They have a lot to catch up on. We're going to talk a little bit. And like all of us, sometimes they get into arguments, a little aggressive behavior. And last, they're so happy to be here with everyone today. They're jumping for joy. As you continue, or the client continues to put puppets on there, you have the ability to move them back and forward. Since this is not necessarily the same sort of interaction as the sand tray, it might not have the same kind of frequent use, but it's still an option in there. And lastly, if you want to remove them, you can hit delete and we can bring out someone else if you would like to. Again, at any time, you realize, you know what, these two want to be somewhere a little bit tropical. They've been inside for too long. You can change the background. So now they're on a nice, beautiful beach together. And finally, once your client has sort of created the scene that they're ready to present, if you ask them to share in full screen, this sort of puts it a little bit more of a distraction-free mode. So now they don't see the sidebar selectors, the puppets, everything else in the screen, and just sort of allows them to focus on the narrative they wish to tell. So again, once you've done that, you'll hit select all, and then these two can hug, catch up with each other, talking. Unfortunately, they may have to hit each other. And last, jump for joy together. When they're all done and ready to return, you can hit the X, goes back to the scene, and they can continue to develop the scene. If they hit clear, it'll wipe out the scene. Or if you want to save a screenshot, you would hit save and it'll save a picture of the theater scene or whatever scene they're at locally to the computer, whichever screen happens to have this. At any point, if you forget the presentation or the client wants a little bit of help, we've added a few kind of key helpful information in the instructions area here. So here's how to change the direction of the puppets using the flip button and controlling multiple puppets together. We found that these two are the sort of least intuitive actions. So we wanted to make sure they're crystal clear and right there for everyone's fingertips in case they forget, or those that discover the app separately, so they really understand the full potential of using the puppets. And just like our other online tools, you're able to do this virtually through Zoom, either by having the client share their screen with the URL pulled up on their web browser, or by giving them remote control on your Zoom session and then allowing them to control. So of course, that's your judgment depending on the capabilities and comfort you have with the client. But once again, this is another way to sort of add that interactive virtual therapy together that might not otherwise be able to happen right now if your puppets are away in your office or at your home and not with your client. So I'm happy to take any questions. If you need me to go through anything again. Karen, I don't think I missed anything, but please let me know if I did.
I don't think so.
Great.
This was very clear. And I know that I know helpful. Thanks, Mikey. Okay, great. So we have another tool, yeah, as Chris said, we learned some new. Rebecca, you have a question?
I do. I've had the problem in the sand tray, and I think it'll happen in the puppet as well, of clicking a little too long and almost like infinite images show up and you move them and there's just a stack of images are there. And I'm not sure how to manage those images.
So if you find that if you're just getting started and that starts to happen with the first puppet, you can do the select all, and then the delete will delete everything instantaneously. So that select all really helps you grab everything instead of
Okay.
either having to hit, the other option is to hit clear, and that wipes out everything at once as well. So you sort of have two different options. If it happens as you've already started to build a scene, unfortunately, it's sort of a manual process, but you can do the trick I showed of dragging your cursor to drag a box around all the puppets you wish to select. And then you can hit the delete button, and that'll grab all of them together at once and remove them together. So if you happen to have, say, the frog on the far left and 10 spiders on the far right, you can drag around the spiders and hit delete, and it'll just remove the spiders in that instance.
And Helen had a question of how do you unselect all the puppets so they move separately again? And you just click not there. You just click not on the box, Helen, and then that should bring you back to them not being selected.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. All right, great. Anything else? Okay. All right. Well, there's always more, but this will get us started. Mikey, thank you for everything.
Absolutely.
And thank you for this. So really appreciate it.